power rankings video. We've reached sort of the midpoint of the season. There's still 3 online qualifiers to go. We've seen 2 come and go already, different winners in both of them. So I thought it was time to put together a power rankings video, give a little bit of context to the placings that the different teams have gotten so far, so you don't like see the placings and be like, oh well, this team has this many points, so they must be the 3rd best team. So I've put together yet another slideshow with the power rankings as far as I see them. I've divided it up a little bit differently, but going over the criteria, it's still the exact same as last time. Online tournament performance is the most important barometer of power for me. Scrim performances is still really strong. Ladders, I might need to put a little bit more weight in, as I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. Apparently ladder practice is really paying off for some teams. And of course I'm still weighing in my own personal opinions, a little bit of bias in here, because without bias it's just not the same. But moving forward, as I said, I did a little bit of restructuring. I've divided it into different tiers. I only have 2 actual number rankings this time instead of a top 6. The first tier, they're the Grunts. Their team's doing well in the ladders. They're getting consistent top 16 placings, but they're not really looking like they can really fight for the top at all. I've got Karma Police, Aries, Boo Boo Doo Boo, Hook, and Jesse the Rizzle. Put together a team. They're practicing really hard, so it's good to see, but they're not really showing up very strongly in practice. They took a few games off Liquid tonight, but come to find out, during those games they were winning. Ace was actually playing on a different controller setting, so he wasn't like really performing at all. Project Affliction showed up in this most recent qualifier, finishing top 8, I believe. They've gotten top 16 both times, so they've gotten 2 top 16 placings. They're players that aren't strangers to the top 16. Gabriel not qualified for Season 1 finals in H2A, so they're definitely talented players. Alumnite has consistently been the substitute for Denial in HCS, so again, just players that really grind, and they're showing up somewhat in Halo 5, but not really making waves just yet. Lean and Dab kind of got gifted a lucky bracket this past week to get to top 8 finishing, but the week before they also had somewhere around a top 16 placing, so they at least deserve mention on this list. Disobey, I would like to see them up higher than this. They have 2 top 16 placings as well, although this most recent placing, it was the first time they played with Devonator and Contra, who just recently split off of Noble. Noble ended up outplacing them, so definitely look for Noble later in this setup. And I've got Suicide Squad on there with Blaze, Burton, Jesse Unleashed, Only X Omega. They've gotten a top 16 and a top 32. I'd like to see more consistency or a better placing out of them this next week. And then, of course, I've got Optic listed in the Grunts. And if you're an Optic fan and you're watching this video, I hate to say it, but Optic are not providing good results so far. They're doing okay in scrims. I probably could have moved them up, but considering they lost to a team they really shouldn't have lost to this past week, I've got them in the Grunts. Maybe them seeing their name on here will motivate them to be like, hey, what are we doing wrong? Because they've definitely been practicing. It's not like they're not putting in effort. They're just not getting the results at this point. And with their top 32 placing this past week, hopefully they get a fire lit under their asses and they get into overdrive. Well, not that overdrive, but hopefully they'll get back into overdrive and start practicing a lot more with actual visible progress to show for it. I've also got team money matches listed on there. Hunter JJX has finally come back out of the shadows. He disappeared in H2A, I believe, because he got married. I may have him confused with someone else there. Then Swish, Turley, and Winter. Winter's no stranger to the top 16, so he's definitely been in contention for this sort of tier of play before. And I've also got the actual Team Overdrive on there, which you'll notice that they're missing a player from their list there. We've got Vetoed, King Nick, and Marbleize. Kefri has been released from the team. They're currently looking for a fourth. They've got a ton of points from their top 4 finishing in the first cup, but they did not repeat results, and they also had a top 32 this past weekend, just like Optic did. So I'd like to see more consistency out of them if they want to hope to move up on to our next tier, the Jackals. Jackal, it's a Jackal, it's got to be a Jackal. It wasn't right the first time. Anyway, back to the topic of Jackals. These are the teams that they're above the previous tier, like they're all performing a lot better than the Grunts, so to speak, but they're not really putting up a fight against the top teams. They still pose a threat to snipe a series from anyone. Like, they might beat EG or CLG or Liquid in a best of 3, but I think in a longer series these teams won't really like, if they were to scrim, they would lose more than they would win, generally speaking. But these are like anywhere from top 8 from top 8 just outside the top 6 to top 12, generally speaking, if we were to do a double elimination, which we only have single elimination, so that's not a huge thing. Dream Team, they've gotten a top 4 and a top 8 so far in the cups. They've kind of worked their way into a great bracket thanks to a little bit of a generous bracket in the first cup, but they've been grinding. They're doing really well. They keep having trouble keeping a fourth, but I think with Prototype on the team, they're pretty happy with what their roster is looking like so far. And with as many points as they have, I don't think they have any reason to. They're actually the 3rd place team in points, so they're definitely doing well for themselves. I just don't think they have what it takes to actually put up a fight against the more established names just yet. So I'd really like to see them in a series against someone that will actually push them to their limit. I've also got Noble on here. They have 2 top 8 finishes. They haven't broken into the top 4 yet, so they've also lost to the Dream Team, and if I don't think Dream Team can compete with the higher-ups, then I don't think Noble can either. It's just process of elimination. Winter Fox, they've run into some difficult brackets the past 2 cups, so I think they're underplacing, but not necessarily underperforming overall. I've got Ryanoob, Arcanum, Shooter, and Randa for that roster, and Elevate with Goofy, Nemesis, Munoz, and Straight Sick also rounding out this group. I actually wanted to have them on the Grunts, to be completely honest, but I needed one more team in this next tier, so that, like, I needed to have 4 in the Jackals and 4 in my next tier, and I just had to round it out, and I picked Elevate out of the group because they're familiar names. I think they've been underperforming. I don't think they've really shown that much potential as a group just yet, so I'm kind of disappointed in what I've seen from Elevate, and they're definitely on the cusp of being passed by any of the teams from the previous tier. Moving on, the next tier, we've got Grunts and Jackals. Of course, we've got the Elites as well. Some of you may be shocked to see Allegiance on here. This is all but the top 2 teams, so if you're looking at it, you probably can guess what the next 2 teams are gonna be. But for right now, this is what I've got for basically 3 through 6 as far as power rankings go. And these are in no particular order. I think these teams could probably trade games against each other for the most part. And I even think these teams could put up good fights against the top 2. When they really buckle down, when they want to, I don't think they will consistently put up good results against the top two the way they're looking right now. But again, these four are in no particular order against one another. But Allegiance, their tournament win this past weekend was very impressive. They definitely showed they have merit to their approach. They haven't really been scrimming other pro teams, so it's hard to see exactly how good they are against other pro teams, but they've been grinding the hell out of game battles. They're playing really just impressive Halo overall. And you can tell they've really studied the intricacies of the game. Suspector, with his use of the Hydra in the breakout games against CLG, was very impressive. Suspector and Nated both just using constant, like, sneaky positions that no other team has really picked up on or abused to their full potential yet. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Allegiance as far as learning the game is going. Envious, they had a very disappointing result this past weekend, but they got eliminated extremely early. Part of that was because they have really poor breakout gameplay. That comes when you don't practice a specific game type. We saw that they played a breakout gamble game, and they looked actually kind of lost on the game type. They had a very different approach than other teams, and it wasn't working for them, and they didn't really adapt from round to round to, like, try to change what was going on and going wrong. And just one person flanking just dismantled their team on several rounds. The next game was a Truth Slayer, and unfortunately APG lagged out, so when it got played out, they lost, and they did get reported for the loss, and by rules that was the right call. Like, unfortunately, if you lag out, you're actually supposed to lose automatically if a player lags out in a Slayer, because the number disadvantage thing, you can, like, hide or whatever. So it was sad to see. Just happens. I think Envious will bounce back this next week, because they're still a fairly high seed. They're the 6th seed. And that will also mean they will match up against Dream Team in the round of 8 unless the seeds change in the next short while. Envious still really good. They got 2nd in the first tournament, so they're still in really good position. And I don't think they've gotten worse. They just had a bad game type and then tough luck. They definitely need to put in more practice on their breakouts, though. Liquid, they've been kind of struggling. I've got Hysteria and question marks there. There's no confirmed roster change just yet. Just that Chig has stepped down, and they've been running with Hysteria. Hysteria played with them in this most recent cup. They ran into Evil Geniuses, and EG 2-0'd them without really breaking a sweat. The first game was over so fast I didn't even get to spectate it. And that was not great to see. They ended up scrimming EG recently as well. Lost 12-5, but had some very good games, and even managed to beat EG on Evil Genius's best game type, Eden Strongholds. So they are still showing some promise. They have moments of brilliance. They just need to work on their consistency and their composure over a long series. But other than that, they're a very talented bunch of individuals. And I think if you put them up against any from the previous tier, they would consistently beat them. And rounding out my elites tier, I have leftovers. Cloud, Commonly, Spartan, Victory X. They completely shocked everyone when they took down Evil Geniuses in that best of 5 series in the semifinals this past weekend. Spectacular play out of Commonly and Spartan, especially. Victory X showing up huge after finally splitting from Fear itself. It wasn't something we expected to see happen, but now that it has, it's showing Victory X is no slouch. He's a player that just sort of blends into the background when you really get down to it. He doesn't show up impressively, but he's always in a position to help your team win the game without really directly helping your team win the game. So he's a great player to have on a team, and I'm glad leftovers are giving him a chance, and it's worked out for him. I don't think they will consistently beat Evil Geniuses. The games they won were close. One of them, they just had an enormous advantage off the start. The Empire Slayer game, they jumped off to a huge lead. EG showed they weren't scared of that and battled back very well. And it just came down to a few missed opportunities, a few missed plays. And that was just about it that shut down Leftovers. So I don't think Leftovers are bad by any means. I definitely think they're worthy of a top 6 position. I just don't think that if they were to match up against CLG or Evil Geniuses or even Envious, and maybe like Allegiance dismantled them in the finals, so it was not a encouraging thing to see. So for now, Leftovers, they still have upward or room to move upward. I don't think they will move down. They're definitely playing better than the teams beneath them. So moving forward, there's only one more category left, but I'm gonna pause for just a reminder. Power rankings are constantly changing. They're only here to really give context to recent results and whatnot, how teams may do in the future, and despite, like, they ignore the point values that these teams have, because if I went by that, it would be EG, Allegiance, Dream Team, and Leftovers top 4, because those are the teams that have made it to finals so far. Or at least to consistent top 8s. Envy made it to finals and they're down at rank 6. But this is just a reminder, power rankings are not a solidified thing. They are just an opinion and vague context about what's been going on with the teams. But the last group is going to be the Hunters, because they usually come in pairs. That's why I have the top 2 in this category. Number 2, I do have these divided by which one I think is better. Number 2 for right now is Counter Logic Gaming. They were number 1 on my previous power rankings. I really feel like they've slipped. They've actually lost a game on their best game type as well, Truth Slayer. They lost 50-49 to Leftovers. Leftovers and a few other teams have picked up on CLG's strategy on Truth Slayer and started to work out how to beat them. CLG is still really strong in Flag and Slayer game types, not as strong in Breakout, not as strong in Strongholds, so they definitely need to work on those 2 game types if they want to overtake EG. But overall, CLG, really strong team, so much slaying power. Snakebite and Royal 2 are still dominating. Frosty not looking as strong as he was at the start of Halo 5, still a completely valid player. And gonna move on to number 1. It's no surprise, it's Evil Geniuses. Lunchbox Roy, Snipe Down Lethal. Although they lost to Leftovers, they took them to a 5-game series. They had very close games. They still did well on their better game types. They just struggled in the Slayers. Snipe Down kind of didn't show up much in the Empire Slayer game 5. He was 6 and 8, just kind of blended into the background. So it kind of showed that if you shut down Snipe Down, or at least take him out of the equation, EG are able to be beaten. But I don't think that's something that's going to happen consistently. I think they will be back at the top of their game next week. I expect them to win the next qualifier, when I'm speaking honestly, despite my inherent bias towards having to cheer for Team Liquid. I think, speaking honestly, and just not sugarcoating or fluffing anything for you guys, Evil Geniuses are still the best team in Halo, and that hasn't changed at all, not one bit. So that's it for this power rankings video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys, if you have any questions, comments, arguments, disagreements, whatever, just feel free to post in the comment section, or if you find this video on Team Beyond forums, because it will be posted on Team Beyond forums, because it always is, just reply, and I will address any concerns. I will try to defend any of my viewpoints if you strongly disagree with anything I've said. If you think I said something that was inaccurate, call me out on it. I am not infallible. I can learn. I can improve going forward. But that's going to be it for this video. I will try to get back to some Audley Analyzes videos soon. I've been working on some side projects that haven't been publicly posted, but they are like, I am making videos every night, and when I'm not making videos, I'm streaming. But that's going to be it for now, so until next time, aloha!